So you want to have a car that covers all the bases. You want a car that's gray market. You want a car that's fast, a car that has history, something that's collectible, something that can drift or drag or do anything. Well, normally we cover a class of car, but today we have a car that covers all the bases. R32 Skyline. 1, 2, 3. Hey guys, welcome to What It's Like to Drive. I know there's a lot of times that we talk about this show and we go over things like gray market or we go over things like low riders. Well, it was tough, or should I say impossible, to put this car in a box. This is an R32 Skyline drift car and it is done up. It is made to be fast, but most importantly, it's made to be competitive. So the thing that we're gonna run into in this car is gonna be some things that make it very unfriendly for daily driven use. And I'm gonna be honest with you, this car was driven to me. It took 40 minutes to get here and I know it's driven on a regular basis. So this thing will beat you up, but it's gonna be something that somebody actually drives, which is exactly what we wanted for today's video. We wanted something that actually has done the laps and isn't willing to ask for forgiveness for its looks, because it goes out and it does a job. The other great things about this is gonna be a car that's a gray market car. It's not something that you're gonna see on a regular basis. There's a lot of work that goes into getting a car like this. And the other thing is it's right-hand drive. Oh no, the forbidden words of right-hand drive. How hard is it? Where are the pedals? Where does everything go? Is it tough to drive? How's the gearing? Well, we're gonna go over all that today. We're gonna drive this car. We're gonna see what it's like to drive. We're gonna look at what it costs to purchase a car like this, and then we're gonna see what the maintenance like and what the pitfalls of owning a car like this every day. Some of the pitfalls of this car are gonna be apparent, and other things we're gonna have to basically show you so that you can get a good idea of what they're like. But regardless, at the end of this, you'll know if you're looking to buy an R32 Skyline and if it works for you. So let's go on the drive right now. Okay, welcome to the interior of a Skyline drift car. This is an R32 and I have to be honest, it is my favorite Skyline, but I have never actually driven in a Skyline before. I want to make sure I drive it right, and plus this car has the little e-brake knob so that you can drift it. There's a lot to it, and as you can probably see, the ride I'm sure is going to be a little bit rough. The seat that I'm sitting in is a full bred racing seat. It doesn't move, it's locked into place, and this steering wheel is right up on me, so it feels a lot like some of the race cars that I've driven in the past. So really all I have to get used to is the pedals are the same, so the clutch is on the left and the gas is on the right, and the gearing is going to be same, but I'm going to be shifting with my left hand, so it's something I'm going to have to get used to. Listen to that. That sounds good. Oh, do not, it wants to drift. So I'm hoping I don't actually accidentally drift it when I'm going along. So I am gonna baby it at first. Now that was the thing, I started shifting and I immediately knew where my stuff was. It's not as awkward as you think. I thought I was gonna be kind of leaning into the other lane and being way off base, but I wasn't. And the good news is I'm really more focused on the drive than I am the bumps. Now, if you're a guy that loves race cars like I do, this really does feel like something you want to own. But if you're not the kind of person that doesn't like race cars, if you don't like stiff suspensions, you're not going to like this car at all. The ride quality is way low down on the scale, but it is just, it's fun. So you're gonna, I gotta use, oh, there we go. All right. The other thing is that the clutch pedal is probably a racing clutch, so I gotta put that clutch all the way to the ground, and it's definitely stiff. It's not as stiff as I expected. There's a lot of cars that I've driven with really heavy clutches, like drag cars and stuff, and those cars, they're gonna be really tough to push in that clutch. But with this, it's a little bit stiffer. I'm still getting used to where the gears are, but all in all, I can tell that it wouldn't take much of a learning curve at all to just get used to this and get into the drive. And that blow-off valve sound is just killer. Everything about this car is just something out of a movie. I mean, and I'm going to say Fast and Furious, and I hate to say that apropos, but it's one of those things that this is what those things were about, and it's not something you're going to see in every car out there. I'm still looking to my other side for my shifter. Can you believe it? My right hand is like wanting to jot over and back. But I'm getting it, guys. I got this. And hell, I'm driving the car that is my favorite Skyline, so maybe, I don't know, after this, maybe I'll pick one up, right guys? I actually like the humming, if you can hear the whistle, that's a brake whistle. I love having that on my cars. A lot of you guys will ask me to remove it. I hate removing it. Okay, so that's it for my ride. I'm gonna say it, I figured this car out literally the first drive. I couldn't believe how quick it was to just kind of get in it and not worry about stuff. So that was a really good deal. And like I said, I didn't expect it. It was a fun ride, and I'm ready to review. Okay, so what was this car like to drive? Well, I'm just gonna say it was rough. A car like this is made to have a suspension that's made for a track. It's not so much made for a road. So when you hit any kind of road, and we did take it down a very rough road. So on normal roads, if you live in a great area that takes care of its streets, you probably won't see this much, but when you take the roads that we're taking, it's gonna be pretty evident that the suspension is stiff. Now, something that you're going to run into with this car that you may not run into in your personal car is that this is a race car. If you've seen from the video, it has a race seat. It doesn't move back and forth. It has a big knob that if you push it, it's made to engage an e-brake style system to make it brake out. And a lot of the interior in the vehicle is removed. Now, if you have your own car, that might not be something that you're going to run into. If you're a racer, chances are that's going to be the direction you're going to go. So there's going to be things that you're going to have to consider and how much and how deep you want to get into that rabbit hole once you get your car. All right, so for these of you who are scared of right-hand drive, don't be. It took me little or no time to learn how to drive this car at all. The pedals are in the same spots. The steering wheel is in the same spot. The gear shifting is set up the same way. It's just with your left hand instead of your right. And the only difference really was there was a blinker on the right instead of the left. So there's a couple little gauge things that you're going to have to get used to, but if you really just want to jump in the car and just drive it, the learning curve is going to be really quick. It's going to be fast. It's going to be just like any other car you've ever driven before. And in fact, I think it's actually more entertaining to be able to drive on that side. And the last thing is you're driving a Skyline. So you're going to have a ton of attention. This car is something that people look at. They're going to ask you questions. You're going to get attention. It's something you're going to have to get used to. So if this is a car that you like to be low profile, then maybe this car isn't for you. But if you're the kind of person that loves people standing around your car asking you tons of questions, then this is definitely the car for you. Okay, so how much does a car like this cost? Well, the base car was $7,000, and this car was actually already in the States. So if you're really afraid of importing something, just try to find something that's here. A lot of these cars now are already legal because of the lifetime. There's a 25-year limit to how long you can have a car imported for. So a lot of these cars have already reached the age limit. So once they've reached that age limit, people are already importing them. So the trick to that is to finding a good importer who has done the work, and then you can get a car that is street legal, that is not so much of a headache. For instance, this car had one car traded in to purchase this car, and that was it. So it was just like a regular normal purchase. Now, to do the work on it was another $7,000. Now, work, as you know, on these cars can get crazy, or they can get really mundane. So you can decide to put a little bit of work into it and a lot of work into it. But to get it the way it sits now as a drift car, we're spending $7,000. Obviously looking at coil, camber, angle, some really cool things to make this a driver's car. So it's a fun car regardless. Even if you don't decide to go the race route with it, you can do a lot of things with this car with a little bit of money. And that's the thing is from the numbers that I'm seeing, this is a pretty easy car, pretty affordable. It's the kind of car that I could take and say, I'm going to make a race car out of it. And that just seems weird coming from the word Skyline, because every time I've ever heard Skyline, I've thought $20,000 or more. So to hear these numbers is very refreshing for me. And it's something that I could say, you know what? I can consider one of these cars. Okay, so what is the upkeep like and maintenance? What are some of the pitfalls you're going to run into in owning a Skyline? Well, the first thing I have to say is do not bring this to your local dealership. You want to bring this to somebody who knows Skylines. Because they come from someplace else, there's little things that go into this vehicle that may not be here. There's parts and other little tricky things. You don't want anybody that's going to cut corners with this. You want to have somebody that knows the car. So whether it be a Skyline or any other vehicle out there in the gray market, make sure that you're with somebody who has done the work, has some sort of history with it, and those people are definitely going to steer you in a much better direction than, say, going to somebody who's just going to do some guesswork or may not put the parts in right. It's something that you definitely want to think about. Other than that, with maintenance, it's just regular maintenance. It's going to be oil changes and anything that you do for your typical turbo car. Now, if you plan on drifting it like this, there's going to be times that you're going to take it back after the track and you're going to look at tires, or you're going to look at spark plugs, you're going to look at all the different things that run the vehicle itself, and those are things that you want to continue to upkeep. But if you just plan to daily drive the car, you're going to have regular things that you run into that any person that owned any other regular car would run into. So the pitfalls aren't that bad. One other thing that I want to bring up too is that this is a drift car. We went over this probably in one of the other videos, but today we actually get to see it. Remember that the doors on drift cars, the chassis tend to twist. When they do, the doors come out and they drop down. So as you can see, that's something that you want to look at, because these doors do actually shift a little bit and it gets them a little off pace, so you may have to slam a door. But it's something really just to be aware of, and it's specifically a drifting thing. It's not going to be happening if you just daily drive your car. All right, that's it for today for what it's like to drive. This has been, for me personally, an amazing experience, and the reason it has been is because this car is right down my alley. I understand it's not a car for everybody. Driving wise, the driving quality was very low for most people. Like, most people get in this car and drive it and just hate the drive because it's so rough. That kind of driving style is right up my alley. So I really loved it. Everything about this car was kind of what I had dreamed it would be, and actually a little more. When you drive a Skyline, it's an exhilarating experience, and that's going to be very hard for me to put in a video. Just the pure excitement and adrenaline that comes with owning a car like this, because it's just great to drive a performance car in general. It really wakes you up and gives you something that I don't think a lot of people have with just regular cars. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Check them out on IG at Just Another Skyline. We're going to put that in the comments below as well. So thank you guys for watching. Remember that we have some other videos over here, and we have a subscribe button. We're going to hope you turn in for the next one. And as always, guys, don't forget to drive.